So people are asking about me doing a drugged out stream, coming back from like wisdom teeth stuff. I don't want to promise anything because I really don't know how, like, what sort of state I'd be in. Like, could I even figure out how to turn on XSplit? You know what I mean? Like, I've seen those videos and people are hella dumb and like super loopy. So I will say I will try, maybe, question mark, but it might be something where we'll have to get Zombie up to stream and I'll just give her my camera because I feel like that'd be infinitely easier to set up.
That's what I was gonna say. Like, at least get you on a Skype call.
Yeah, for sure. You can hear me mutter dumb things. Wow, okay. Thank you, Fatal Bunny, for the $50 donation to kick off this final match today. We'll get to the message in just a moment, my good sir. But in the top left side, playing for the qualifying spot today in the TING Open, it is going to be my Insanity's Drogo.
In the bottom right, as the red Zerg, it is SortOf.
Well, I'm not sure how to take this donation. We're either like the best wingman or really boring, and sends this person. But it says, my girlfriend's a huge fan of you guys. This is for helping me get her into bed sometimes. Winky face? Good luck with the teeth.
How?
So here's my two ideas on it, right? Either she's like such a big fan and she's like, oh, thank you so much for teaching me about Rifkin and Zombie Grub and BaseTradeTV. Oh, sploosh, right? Or alternatively, she's like, man, this is so boring. Why don't we just go to bed? I'm not sure in which capacity we are wingmanning, but you are welcome.
There's a third option, right? Where she's like, oh my god, Rifkin and Zombie Grub, oh, their voices are so good. They just
super turned on. Oops, wrong button.
Yeah, wouldn't that be so weird?
I don't know.
I've been on the background while everything happens.
There's actually a lot of stories about how people would. There's like a study done about the amount of people who would like have sex to like the Colbert Report and stuff. Not because anything sexy was going on, it was just something happening in the background. And we are good background noise.
I can get the background noise. Like the same reason you have like music, even if you're not really paying attention to like what music it is, or you know, you're watching TV and things happen anyway. But to specifically get turned on by us and then have to have us on the entire duration.
No, you know what's gonna happen? Like
she's doing something wrong.
She's probably watching and hears this, and she's gonna first smack him and be like, "Why'd you spend $50?" And then secondly, she'll be like, "Now you're embarrassing me. All they're doing is talking about the stupid, awkward stuff that we do in bed."
Hey-o.
So shout out Mrs. Fatal Bunny, or I guess their girlfriend.
Hey,
so future Mrs. Fatal Bunny.
Don't put the pressure on them.
Okay, so Stargate opening out of Drogo. This isn't so surprising. We talked about it earlier, and I'm going to bring it up again. I am not going to be surprised if he does the same build in almost every single game today, because it works. He beats back Bly, he beats back Namshar, both players which are really good players. There weren't some random bumps in the ladder. Like, honestly, Bly or Namshar could have been in this qualifying spot if they were on sort of side of the bracket. Like, this could have been interchangeably one of them, and sort of is a good player. Make no mistake. So, I feel like Drogo's choice to go for this build, I'm worried might be predictable, but at the same time has worked out so well for him, you can't really fault him for it.
Well, it's a little bit different, isn't it? That's three extra gateways with a 2 extra gateways, so a little bit more aggressive, hopefully with a little bit bigger payoff. Unfortunately, if SortOf gets wind of this, and even if he doesn't, even if he just plays safe and morphs like 5 banelings just in case, because okay, maybe the third timing is like a little bit off, then the adepts could possibly do nothing really if they get surrounded and killed by the banelings. So Drogo also has to be really good with his scouting on this Oracle to expect with this attack. The Overlord, by the way, did just see everything. Like, it just went right in there.
Really nice scout. Of course, there's nothing to stop it. Oracle, though, also darted right across the map. Now, it kills a queen, and that's not the greatest thing in the world to pick off, but it will take away from the defense against ground, which, again, reminder being, with 3 extra gateways, Drogo's looking to get some ground damage in.
Yeah. Since it was so easily scouted, he might just hold off. I mean, 1 extra gateway is not that bad, especially if you don't commit to said extra gateway. So just throw down your 3rd base, and that's a little bit extra production. I'm not sure. He is going to throw it down, though. I mean, he's pretty close to 400 minerals regardless. Production can only get you so far when you're pretty well saturated. And he is still going to try and do the attack, but as I said, SortOf probably already prepared for that.
So Fatal Bunny's girlfriend likes to cuddle, and I think that's really cute, actually.
Cuddling bunnies, no.
Right? Okay, so we do have the attack commencing. As pointed out before, there's a lot of adepts with this. There was going to be a ground army. The Oracle getting really low already, though. Already has to pull back. Problem is, though, sort of made Banelings preparing for this. He knew that this was coming thanks to that Overlord Scout that got to see the entire base. So, oh, he's just trying to hold him in place with the legs while they all get cleaned up. And this was a really good defense out of SortOf. Really good decision-making, too, after seeing what was coming.
It was actually more about questionable decision making from Drogo. So I don't play Protoss. I don't know if there's a benefit in forcing them to make the Banelings and extra lings and therefore deny the drones over losing out on your adepts. You know, doing what looks like almost nothing.
Yeah.
So I don't know who really got the benefit there. I feel like she feels pretty confident after cleaning up so easily, though. You don't have any of those drone pool shenanigans, and he is getting a lot of lings to counterattack. So this might have been his plan from the get-go, seeing the potential attack. And if it was, I think it's actually a really good plan.
These oracles are just like, I see what you're doing. I know what's up.
I get this.
But there's another attack coming. This one's hát Banelings and Queens inside these Overlords, and this is something I actually think Drogo's screwed. I'm just gonna say it.
He might just be. We'll see what not even the force fields, because the Overlord drops.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, there's so much dependency on the force fields to defend him in this, but the Queens get over that wall. The force fields actually aren't bad over here. He does actually hold on kind of nicely, but there's still so many lings and so many Queens he's got to chew through. And in previous games, that Void Ray has been a godsend, but this time there's Queens to actually shoot it down.
So things aren't out of control yet. He's still on 60-ish
getting there really quick, though.
probes. Yeah, it's like one step away from everything just going to hell. But it's also the same for SortOf. Like, as his lings got away from the Queens, they get away from each other, start getting cleaned up by just sentries, which were protected by force fields.
And not enough probes. That I didn't even realize how big of a worker lead Drogo had, thanks to the fact that SortOf had gone for this all-in style. So this actually ends up being pretty good, and I'm glad I was wrong, because this would have been a very disappointing way to lose.
It would happen, yeah, absolutely. And I didn't really realize, I looked at the probes, like, it was 60 to 35 probes, something like that. So it really was something where he could lose even 20 probes and still be okay, because he also would have tech on his side. He has his +1 coming through, he's just got his robos up. I'm sure his Twilight Council is a little bit late, but still. So this was Drogo in a very, very good position for what looks very, very scary.
What? There's also no layer out of SortOf yet either.
He has to all in again.
Yeah, that's what really kills this potential to go anywhere else with it. And while Banelings are certainly strong, and they've looked good in 2 different instances this game, it's the fact that it's going to be Immortals. They're going to have that barrier pop. You're going to have that Void Ray in the sky still, which wasn't picked up by the Queens. I really liked SortOf's decision-making here, and I don't think it was a bad choice at all to do the attack that he did. It just did not work out for him. And I'm wondering if, like, what choices have been better going for the third? Was it smart to go for the main and try and get probes? I mean, obviously it didn't work, but what would have the better alternatives have been? So it is going to be round 2 of the all-in. Overlord's carrying Queens across the map once more.
I think the first thing I can think of is Baneling dropping on top of the sentries, as opposed to letting them live. They might not have seemed like a big deal, but they did end up being the cleaning up force, basically, of the lings and multiple Queens. They can actually add a bit, even if their damage is really very low. So the same thing might happen here. He might go for the sentries. He might, once again, split up his army. The Overlords this time are carrying, well, still Queens. Nope, there's still Queens and Lings. No Banelings in here. And he's going to go for the natural, which is, I don't know, it puts him in between all of the, like, you know, the production, all the pylons, and gives Drogo a place to retreat to.
The funny thing to consider is Queens are actually a very strong force. Like, you see Drogo disengaging from them and not haphazardly. He kind of needs to. Torso's going to go down. The Void Ray falls.
Receiving incoming transmission.
This is actually maybe even trickier than the first engagement. Of course, it's with a lot more, but same with Drogo. Double Zealots being worked now that all the Banelings are down.
I'm surprised he's not using the Overlords to drop the Banelings on top of the sentries. Like, he's got them just sitting there idly by. SortOf's almost making this work. It's so close, but unfortunately, I don't think the reinforcements are going to cut it. New Void Ray got made. Immortals are still firing, and this looks like this might just be the end of the second all-in.
Yeah, and that will be the end of the game. There is no third all-in. I can't believe SortOf's even trying. He's getting +1 melee now?
I really actually think, like, if we had those Overlords dropping, that could have been disgustingly different. You kill all the sentries, they're clumped up, it's like the perfect target. Meanwhile, Lings are going to be lifted over once again to try and get some probes. Drogo's been doing a lot of running around, so he's been losing out on some of the income, and even for a brief second, SortOf actually takes an income lead, but quickly, the second Drogo goes back to mining, it's a non-issue. 4th base finishes up, and I mean, once again, with all of these gateways constantly warping in, I don't think production is ever going to be the problem for him.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, what's funny is that Drogo has been expanding behind all this aggression. He's continuing making probes, so even though he's lost quite a few, 24 in total, he stayed at roughly the same amount by producing 3, now 4 probes at a time, and it's just nothing has actually done enough damage. Not economy-wise, not production-wise, and not army. Even though Drogo's army isn't the biggest, it's still pretty darn good. And now it has upgrades as well as blink on it, so we can catch those overlords as they fly away.
Yeah, this is a great game of defense. So wow, I had messed up earlier, by the way, like real bad.
How?
Donation wise. So Fatal Bunny donates another $50, and I realized Sloza earlier had donated $100, not $10, $100. So what the fuck? Again, thank you.
Oh.
Guy snuck in $10 and says, I hate you. You missed my resubs and it hurts so much. I love you too. Guys, thank you for resubbing for 2 months in a row. Guys, thank you for the resubbing for 3 months in a row. Guys, thank you for resubbing for 4 months in a row. Whatever else I missed, etc., etc. But then Fatal Bunny throws in another $50, which is what drew attention to the first one. And it says, she likes to cuddle. And then, ... She also donated $100 to you guys. And she doesn't care about the money, so here's $200 from the bunnies. Keep doing it, you guys.
Aww. Thanks. I hope you guys go at it like bunnies.
Yeah. Just throw up some of our VODs in the background and we get to go.
Hey-oh. Anyway,
this ends up being a much better attack out of sort of round 2, but this time
does.
Drogo's got a counter attack going on, and if it comes down to a base race, I think Drogo wins that race every single time. But I've been wrong on all my calls so far, so who knows?
It did go better, but that was a lot because Drogo he wasn't bothering to defend as well. He had his army on the other side of the map. Let's see how the force fields. If the force fields miss, I do fear the banelings will take out enough of the zealots and fodder that the immortals will be taken out by the lings. But the force fields should be good. There's certainly enough of them. What are these overlords? Queens again. I really wish they were banelings.
I do too. I'm not sure why he's. There's not even that much anti-air.
Oh, the hallucinations.
The hallucinations are cool. Drogo's gonna lose out on some of the momentum.
He lost his sentries. He lost.
But I mean,
fodder.
consider what's the main died, the third base died. I mean, sort of
Yeah,
on one base minor. Like, as bad as this fight goes, it's still going to be better for Drogo at the end of the day. So, I think it's safe to say he has won the game. GG.
GG.
But yo, shouts to sort of making like 3 or 4 all-ins almost work after failing each of them. Like, that wasn't a game that was necessarily super, like, oh my god, Drogo won that without a doubt. But he did win, and he won really well. Anyways, so I'm doing the math here. 146 on BaseTradeTV. Then with that other donation, 160 on mine. That's like $300.
Oh.
So thank you guys so much. I can't tell you how grateful I am. I can't like. I know it's a long road to get there, but thank you guys so much. But okay, map 2 is gonna be Dust Towers. Let me get the intro. Skip the ads for this and get into it ASAP because we are running a little bit late on today, but that's also okay. There we go. Swap me for sort of.
No.
No?
No.
I mean, if I play Terran versus Drogo, I just go Liberators, and that's right. Is that how
And win?
I don't know. I only know how to make battle cruisers. I don't know how to play normally. I literally, for those who don't,
You be you.
for those who don't know that joke, by the way, I literally got masters just going battle cruisers like every game. I don't know how to play the game normal. What's bio? Hell if I know. I haven't known for 2 expansions.
And that's why I have to split for you.
Yeah, that's why we play Archon mode. It's tough. She's like,
Like
don't
a-
go on
like a
creep.
mama,
I'm like, but I got.
cut and steak for little baby.
Here comes the airplane.
Okay, you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. All right, we're gonna hop into Dusk Towers. Thank you again to the bunnies. I guess we'll call them. You guys are awesome. We love you, and we'll see you soon. We'll go back to game number 2 in this best of 3. It's the whoops, wrong score there. No, not 9. No, what's? Oh, I give up. How do I? It's 8 to 9 in this best of 3. There we go. It's 1-0 in this best of 3. We're currently getting into game 2 here for the TING Open wildcard qualifiers. We already had Solar qualify through, but currently looking to be in a pretty good spot himself in the top right, representing Protoss, France, and my insanity alike. It's gonna be Drogo.
In the bottom left, as the red Zerg, representing himself, it's sort of.
There's some like Starbomb lyrics I keep trying to not sing while we're doing the intros, and it's like, I can't remember exactly how it goes, but it's like, now's my chance, Viva la France, or something like that. And I just want to like have Drogo shout that like as he's winning a game. It'd be so sick.
in the soundproof booths. Yep.
Yeah. Shut up! Don't ruin
They don't
this
have
for
those
me,
anymore.
man. It's only
They don't have
soundproof
those
for
anymore.
them.
It's fine.
Yeah. I love how people are like, the booths are just a sham. You might as well just like give them headphones and like an extra set of headphones, Tasia style on top of those. Like,
Some of them were. I remember in the beginning there was a ton of issues that they were just basically cardboard boxes to make it look a little more professional.
I mean, it
But then
does
I
look
also
cool,
know-
to be honest.
Yeah, it does. But I also know that like there was complaints about like air conditioning and heating and stuff. So I think it was a GSL booth that actually had it so that you could choose
Oh, was
in
it?
there and you like turn it up, turn it down.
Was it the GSL booth also where the roof fell down on top of Gumiho?
That was Pro League. That's Pro League.
Pro League. Okay, never mind.
Yeah. So cardboard didn't hurt that much, luckily.
Well, okay, so with Drogo being up in the series, I imagine
Yes.
we're going to see the same build. It's Dusk Towers. Stargate's going to work well here. All-In's going to work well here. Whatever flavor he chooses to go for. The one thing I would say, though, is, like, if anything indicated by SortOf in that first game is, like, he is not someone to be underestimated. And, like, he was really scary that game.
Mm-hmm. Quick shout out to Arazeru for 2 months and Strike 700 for 7 months. But yeah, Drogo looked very, like, for the amount of stuff, basically, that was coming out of the Overlords and SortOf's base, Drogo just looked, he made it look easy. The first 5 seconds it was like, oh, how is he going to do this? And then the next 10 minutes it was like, okay, I think he's won this. And unfortunately for SortOf, that is a game just gone. Like, you already used that tactic, you already used that map, and I'm not sure you're really going to want to do it again on Dusk Towers. He is starting off with +1, though, so I do expect, like, Banelings again, but maybe not the all-in.
Banelings just in general have become so popular. I'd say in the last, like, 3 months, whenever Dark played that game was literally the day everyone said, you know what, Banelings are great, let's do this.
Yeah,
and
right.
I think what's really great is when you do have really adept heavy compositions, zealot heavy compositions, which are common, it's a good move. But if your opponent's not doing that, it's not going to work out. And we've seen Drogo actually make pretty good use of Immortals and Blinkstalkers and Archons, especially in that last game. So it's kind of hard to say like Banelings are ever going to be the greatest blind choice. But what I love most about them is when we see the Overlord drops. And not in the way that we were like wishing he would do in that last game, but I mean on top of the mineral lines, getting that +2 weapons, one-shotting probes. Like, you can do so much damage with that.
Yeah, that's certainly true. Well, I didn't think it was going to be the all-in again, but he's already racking up quite a few lings here, even with speed and +1 still a ways off. So if Drogo tries to take a third, and he is sending a probe out here, it is guaranteed cancel, I do believe. He's not going to have any like SimCity really to help out. Or maybe just in time. We'll see. But even with SimCity, like, this is going to be a lot of lings and they're going to be upgraded. Unfortunately, Phoenixes, they do not help out at all against lings. If it's ling drops, at least they kill the Overlords. But with just ling floods, they can pick up 1 ling at a time. It's not going to be that helpful.
By the way, speaking of that terrible score I had accidentally messed up at the start of the game, we actually had 2 really good players approach me recently asking if we want to do another best of 69 sometime.
Oh.
I, of course, like, am inclined to decline that invitation.
It's been so long that I wouldn't mind if we had nothing else to cast that week, but
We're so busy. Anyways, Linksy on top of these pylons, overcharge does go off, but it's not going to do enough. Nexus might have to just straight up get canceled. I don't know that he can actually hold on to this. Sort of hitting really hard, really fast. I mean, he's got that +1 on top of it, no less. There's just no way he's holding on this spot.
yeah. I'm really not sure how Drogo would have hold on to it. Like, even if he had his units in between pylons and, like, a couple of force field, that still would have been really tricky. And in fact, he might just lose the game if he lets too many lings through here. The Zealot dies. That's the last overcharge as well. His production is up, but
it's scary. I mean, he's pulling the probes, but he's already lost 7. He can't. This isn't a position where he's up a ton of work. He actually can't afford to lose that many. With the third Nexus not being there, problematic. The Phoenixes did sit on the other side of the map, killing queens, and I mean, trying to do a little bit of counter damage. But as we see, I don't know. Even if it's just lifting up lings, he may have needed those back at home. He's lost so much to this.
yeah, in this kind of low ling situation, I think that picking up even 5 lings would have been very helpful, but unfortunately he just, well, he couldn't think of his Phoenixes on the other side of the map, so all they have to do, or they can do rather, is try and return a little bit of this damage, but it's 15 probes killed, so far I think 0 from the Phoenixes. They're going at Overlords right now. In fact, one of them goes down. So that was a very good attack from SortOf. Like, getting the third canceled as well as the pylons and all the units, and then breaking into the main base. Any one of those things don't happen, it's like, okay, SortOf can recover, But now it's gonna be really hard to recover.
Yeah, what I really like about this decision, though, is sort of like, I'm not sure if this is entirely responsive based on what he saw out of Drogo or not, but if you consider Drogo does do a Phoenix opening in like every single game, a Ling Flood is not a bad response to that at all. In fact, I really like his decision making for this.
Yeah, like the faster Ling attack, plus the fact that Drogo went for Phoenixes over Oracles. Because we had 2 Oracles, they actually help out a lot, especially if they're back at home. If it was those Phoenixes. Unfortunately, now down to 2 Phoenix. They're not going to have a lot of energy, and it's going to take forever to kill whatever they pick up. So they feel a little bit useless. Still no third base is pretty bad as SortOf gets to his 4th. Now, luckily, SortOf isn't on a lot of tech. You know, he's still just on those Lings and waiting for a lair. But Drogo doesn't have anything to punish him for not having tech. He barely has any units of his own. So finally, I think this is when 3rd goes down. He's been banking like a lot of minerals. He just has been afraid of Lings canceling it, I think. There's the Bailey Nest, which I brought up earlier. I thought he was going to do, but he did just go for the plain Ling attack. So it's still going to be Baneling composition. So then if that's the case, I guess a Hydra Center should be coming down with this... Oh, an Infestation Pit. Oh. That's interesting. So Ling Baneling Hydra is a lot of what we've seen. We saw that with Bly earlier on. But the Ling Baneling Infester, which I imagine this is going to go to, I don't know if he'd actually try and get away with a quick hive for ultras. That could obviously be very, very good. You get a fungal on the charge lots, like they're kind of useless. You get a fungal on the sentries and the banelings roll in, that's amazing. And if Drogo's going to be going for charge lot Immortal Archon, and he's going to take a very long time to get to those Archons, then it could be very, very effective. And I think that's kind of why you would play into it a little. Oh, we actually might just lose the game here. That could be bad. That's not a lot of units, and they cannot force field off that entire ramp. They would have to get into the mineral lines and somehow have some really good force field SimCity.
Well, the Baneling speed is not going to be done for this, so that's like one small thing Drogo's got going for him, but everything he has is susceptible to those Banelings, but they funnel through in a very awkward manner. They do hit all the sentries, so there's no round 2 for this, but the overcharges might just hold. He's got to walk away from this. He's got no focus fire on top of those Banelings. They're going to hit those Zealots for certain, but looks like this isn't as bad as it looked like it was going to be. Drogo's got no army to fight with, and that really stinks. Wow. And what I really worry about now is that muted transition, despite the fact that there are already Phoenix in play. Like, he's really just got nothing on the field to fight with.
That might be for Greater Spire, actually. So he's been getting every single text path. He went for a Hydra stand, which I found surprising. And he went for the Infestation Pit, which I thought was going to be for fungals, but obviously not. It was for just a hive just a little bit later. So the Greater Spire should be the ultimate kill move, you know, especially if Drogo's out scouting it. If he scouts it, it could maybe be a mistake. You know, get Tempest pretty early on, they over-dedicate to Broodlords, maybe start coming back. But the entire time, you would probably be turtled on 3 bases, which in Legacy of the Void doesn't last forever.
It's an impressive hold so far to Drogo, but now there's speed. We'll see if this is worse or better to deal with. There's more sentries warped in. But that Greater Spire that you bring up, I am really curious if that'll be the direction this goes. One of the things that the Phoenix should be doing is scouting everything while they're harassing, so still no idea that the Spire's down, but does see the hive finishing up as we speak. Oh, this transfuses
This is a Liquored in, too. I mean, SortOf really is going for everything that he can, and I guess because he can afford it. He's been going
moving
for
out, that's a mistake.
Oh, jeez. Oh, my God.
He doesn't even get like any of the force skills. That's the end of the game.
Wow.
All right, that's going to take us to the ace match, game number 3. That's how you know, by the way, these players are absolutely like deserving of these spots. The fact that these are constantly going back and forth. But we are going to play just a small 2-minute ad. Nothing too crazy, nothing too big. So we'll see you guys for the final map, the final cast, when we return. Alright, so we're back, and we've discovered there's quite a few bugs going on right now. So if anyone knows somebody at Blizzard, maybe you could report this for us, because we don't have a direct line of communication to them. But there's two bugs right now, where the winner of all these matches is having their match history bugged out. So players can't look at each other's, like, what drones they cut and all that good stuff Drogo was complaining about in the lobby. And then as we just saw here, it's not just us, it's also TIG and the others that are having the issue where the second time you control R, it makes the minimap disappear for a second. These are not hugely detrimental to the game, but they're bugs that shouldn't exist for any reason that I understand whatsoever. Anyways, we did get another donation I want to kick off before we get into this game. Thank you very much to Lord Von Dip. Says, you guys are good people. You deserve all the good in the world. You too, man. Thank you.
Thank you.
But it is tied up 1-1 here in the qualifying round, and the winner of this series will be the one to move on to TING group stages. But the question is, who will it be? In the bottom right side on this gold map, it is going to be the red PtitDrogo.
In the top left, as the blue Zerg, it is SortOf.
Drogo looking for that very early third out of SortOf 2. I actually really like the scout because he will see it coming, and this is a pretty big deal, realizing, oh, you're going to do that? Well, either he can match that with his own third Nexus that we've been seeing a little more commonly lately, or he can go super duper aggressive off of it. This might be the one time we see a variation to his build style.
Potentially. Well, denial on that gold base is pretty effective, as we already kind of gave the spiel for Prion Terraces in the last EVP we saw on it, where yeah, it kind of seems like what we've been casting that Protoss are winning on it, despite everyone always saying that it's been a Zerg favored map. I think it was more a couple months ago, it was like drastically Zerg favored, not so much anymore. And there's still an option for Protosses to play even just a straight up macro game, but SortOf has been playing pretty aggressive with these Lings, and Drogo has got to be scared of it, even though he said that he expected it, still can't do anything about it.
Yeah, actually, that's definitely got to be. I can kind of feel that frustration. It's like you scout the Baneling bus, you know the Baneling bus is coming, yet you respond to it poorly and you still die. Like we've all been there at some point.
For sure. That happens so often versus like Protoss shenanigans. That's what really sticks out in my mind.
Oh, Blink
in
Blink
Heart of the
Collins
Swarm.
back in the day, yeah.
Well, yeah, you would literally know, but I mean, there's also the Mortal Sentry all-in. You would know they were doing it, like you just
on
blind
Overgrowth?
counter.
You would know that there was going to be the 2 force fields to the north of your hatchery at the third, and like it was so predictable, but you still
Oh, I was
would
thinking
die to
Ohana. But yes, exactly, even on Overgrowth. Like, yeah, exactly. Like it was, there have been, you know, cases of just stupidly OP stuff, but this is not stupidly OP. It is just that thing where it's like, okay, I messed up, and this can be difficult to deal with. But knowing the player and knowing that it might be on the way certainly still helps. Now, last game we saw it be effective because it was just Lings into the third base and then unfortunately into the main, right? It was just like a direct bust. And that's where Phoenixes really did not help out. Now Drogo's going for the same like opener here. He likes his Stargate, and he's gone for Phoenixes again, which could have been, you know, really like a bold choice had he been going for a third base too, and the same thing could have happened, right? Where they're just useless. But if it's Overlord drops, and you have Overlord speed and an evolution chamber, then this is where they can actually kind of help.
Right. If the Phoenix can pick off the Overlords before they land, then well, obviously their contents won't matter. But it is the fact that these will probably not be all in one spot. On Prion especially, we typically see like the 8-lings loaded in the natural, Banelings dropped in the, 8-lings in the main, Banelings dropped in the natural because they're so stacked up in those 3 mineral patches. This could be really scary. We'll see how this gets handled though, because for Drogo, if he's on top of it early, not a problem. But if he's across the map with the Phoenixes when they should be at home, that is going to be a huge issue.
Yeah.
Shout out to Nick's Joker, by the way, 25 months. That's over 2 years on that resub button. That guy is a boss.
A long time. So it's not an all-in, but the possibility of like an attack, you know, in 1 or 2 minutes here that does look very much like an all-in, as he's still getting queens, he's still getting Lings with his production rounds, is very possible. And the Phoenixes, as you said, they're gonna have to be on top of it, not only to kill the Overlords, hopefully, like ideally for Drogo, but just to simply scout that this is what's happening. Because right now it's not so suspicious, I suppose, but the drone saturation is kind of low. And I think after the last 2 games, Drogo would be paying attention to something like that. Like, okay, when are you gonna all me with Lings, buddy? Because you've done it twice before. So hopefully he has some idea this is happening, and these Phoenixes should see the Overlords. Yeah, they see this one. Oh, there's a nice. Oh wow, there's all the Lings.
That's 8-lings. That's, I mean, 8-lings is a lot, but it's not like, oh my god, devastating damage. Still though, he didn't see the other Overlords? Question mark. He's killing a queen here, but really should be in the middle of the map right now, pushing these guys back.
Yeah, you're right about that. Catching the Banelings as they roll across, or walk across rather, as well would be so damn helpful. I think he realized, hey, where those queens go? Why isn't there any defense here? Now he's gonna go find them. They are in the Overlords, so they force them to drop out. This is like stopping a siege tank push, though. It's still very effective time by. Like they have to drop and go back in.
That actually reminds me a lot more of, I think, like when you would meet Blink Stalkers out in the middle of the map instead of like having to fight them at home.
Sure.
Either way, I mean, like, it is good that he's getting on top of this. Problem is, though, here's a lot of banelings still nonetheless. Immortals are on the way. They're almost out. This is going to be hugely beneficial to have. But what I really think hurt most is he's burned a lot of transfuses on the Overlords just getting them here. Now there's not that many for the actual fights.
Yeah, and the Overlords, well, he wasn't using them for pickup micro in the first game either. They are less involved too. No sentries back here to keep those force fields off, so the probes and the natural are probably going to go down. Actually uses the banelings to get rid of the cannons and the pylon as quickly as possible.
He starts picking up some of the queens just to take them out of the fight. Problem is, though, these immortals don't have a lot of support for them. They're going to need more force fields and better force fields than that. As he starts to fall back, Drogo finds a really sick spot to get those force fields and to get those immortals into safety. Now there's no banelings left, and these zealots and adepts suddenly become more effective, but he is making more banelings right here on the front line. Transfuses from these queens is going to be so annoying. And this is considering he's already burned half of them.
Drogo supply blocked. Oh dear God, that Robo's not producing. He can't warp into anything from the warp gates that are still up, but he just can't do anything.
It might be better off trying to wall off the main with those minerals too. Just put 3 pylons at the top of that ramp. He's going to pick a fight up here to the north. Immortals are still doing great amounts of damage, but their barriers are actually on cooldown now. Queens go down. There's not that much left to handle, but a gold base?
Oh, wow.
He's still mining off of a gold base. Losing the natural sucks. That really hurts. But keep in mind, Drogo's up workers. He's technically in a better spot. This one baneling will not kill all the probes. He's got to keep that cannon alive. It's not going to get kept alive. Probes going to have to be pulled away from this now. Zealots are here to try and defend. Hold position on these links. Everything here trying to fight and attack. Drogo's probe count still remains strong, even here at the third while this goes on. So he has taken some very notable damage, but he has also defended very well.
It's more of a gray area than it was in the first game for sure, where it was like very obvious what it was going to do fine. All 3 bases up and 60 probes. 44 probes, not all 3 bases up. It's a little bit trickier, but sort of... Yeah, he doesn't have tech, which is another problem in that first game, where Drogo has been boosting off of 2 robos. He's still got consistent enough economy to get these more expensive units. I mean, he's thinking a War Prism to try and get some maybe harassment or, you know, really counterattack and win type of potential here. But as we know, like, since SortOf is all in, still hasn't gone for a lair any more drones, he does all in again. It only makes sense, and he's got to be aware of that.
I mean, it really is his only option. I love the Phoenix once again trying to get on top of the Overlords. A little bit hard to pull off given the situation. But where the greatest strength laid in that first attack, I feel, was like there was a ton of transfuses and a ton of queens. The queen count now is like halved, and the transfuse amount simply isn't there. Also, TIL that if units are inside an Overlord, they don't count on the units tab. Oh wait, no, that's production tab. That was production tab. I'm retarded.
Okay, buddy. They're there.
I pressed the wrong button. Is that good? I was like, one queen? That makes no sense.
So, yeah, Phoenix is still alive, so they can still help out pick off or pick up a couple of units.
I think that's really nice. Taking the banelings out is a really nice thing to do.
Yeah.
Overcharge has got to get popped left and right. Lots of links do run in. Lots of links going to run out. I like that Drogo didn't over panic and pop all 3 overcharges. Only the one.
Force field available in that natural, so a repeat won't happen again. Force field available here as well, and there's actually the Immortals are covering the sentries anyway.
They soak the damage. All the banelings wasted on those 2 Immortal shields. Lifts up all the queens to remove from the fight. Good game, Drogo, ladies and gentlemen. Viva la France! He is going to be the one to qualify through and join Solar in the wildcard groups.
Very nice.
I gotta get, for Drogo, I know he's not super confident about his PvZ. Nobody who loses PvZ ever feels confident, but he did win every single PvZ. Bly, Namshire is sort of back to back to back, and those are not nobodies. Those are good players to win games against.
That's a good point. Hopefully it was a good confidence booster.
Yeah. But that is going to wrap up the cast, guys. So thank you all for joining us once again. We're going to play one last set of ads and say our goodbyes. I want to show off the risk board again, so we'll do that after the break. But real quick, we got this really cool deal going on for about a month. There's this awesome partnership we just set up with Arcade Block. Well, it's called Nerd Block overall, I think is the site. But Arcade Block's the one we're trying to sell. And if you guys click on that little Sonic the Hedgehog thing underneath the stream, if you click that link to at least check it out, that helps us out. If you buy something, that helps us out a lot. And to thank you for buying something, we have a really awesome raffle we'll be doing. We'll give more information about that when we return. Congratulations once again to Drogo and Solar, and we'll see you guys in 2 minutes.